mode that one speaks of, that, i.e., through the mode of calm. Moreover, Subhuti, all the modes, tokens and signs by which dharmas are indicated have been thoroughly understood by the Tathagata. Therefore one speaks of the knowledge of all modes. Subhuti. Again, concerning the three kinds of omniscience, the knowledge of all modes, the knowledge of the paths, and all knowledge, is there some differentiation as to the forsaking of the defilements in respect of them? In the sense that this one has a forsaking with, and that one a forsaking without remainder. The Lord. There is no such differentiation in the forsaking of the defilements. But the Tathagatas forsake not only the defilements but also the residues connected with them, whereas the disciples and Pratyeka Buddhas do not. Subhuti. Have they not all reached the unconditioned, and can one apprehend a differentiation within the unconditioned? The Lord. One cannot. Subhuti. Subhuti. If no such differentiation can be apprehended, how is it that the Lord has distinguished between those who have forsaken all the defilements and their residues connected with them, and those who have not also forsaken the residues? The Lord. There are really no defilements, and no residues connected with them. But there is on the part of the disciples and Pratyeka Buddhas a forsaking of greed, hate, and delusion, though their physical afflictions continue to proceed. These are harmful to foolish common people, but not to the disciples. And the Tathagatas do not have them at all. Subhuti. If, O Lord, non-existence is the path, non-existence is nirvana, how can one distinguish between stream winners, two Pratyeka Buddhas, bodhisattvas, great beings, and fully enlightened Tathagatas? The Lord. All these have been brought forth from the unconditioned, stream winners, two fully enlightened Tathagatas. Subhuti. Is it, then, perhaps the unconditioned which causes the distinction between them? The Lord. It certainly does not. Taking language as a standard, one can talk of stream winners, but in ultimate reality no such distinction can be caused. And why? Because the paths of speech do not lead to any valid concept. Subhuti. How can the final limit be conceived? The Lord. Having made worldly convention into a standard, one can conceive of the final limit of those who have cut off the limit, but not by way of ultimate reality. Moreover, those whose former limit has been cut off of them, the final limit is conceived. Subhuti. When all dharmas are empty of own marks, how can one conceive of a former or a final limit? The Lord. So it is, Subhuti. Since all dharmas are empty of own marks, one cannot conceive of a former limit. How again of a final limit? That cannot possibly be. But on the other hand, to those beings who do not cognize dharmas as empty of own marks, just to them it has been explained that this is the former, this the final limit. But in dharmas which are empty of own marks, no former or final limit. But in dharmas which are empty of own marks, no former or final limit can in fact be apprehended. It is thus that a bodhisattva should course in perfect wisdom in dharmas which are empty of own marks. He, then, does not settle down anywhere, not in inner or outer dharmas, not in conditioned or unconditioned ones, not in those of the disciples or Pratyeka Buddhas. Subhuti. In what sense does one speak of the perfection of wisdom? The Lord. It has reached the highest perfection of all dharmas. In that sense one speaks of the perfection of wisdom. Furthermore, it is through this perfection of wisdom that all disciples, Pratyeka Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and Tathagatas have gone beyond all dharmas, do go beyond, will go beyond. In that sense one speaks of perfection of wisdom. Moreover, in the ultimate sense the objectivity of dharmas is unbroken. Through this perfection of wisdom the Tathagatas have not apprehended a beyond in all dharmas. In that sense one speaks of the perfection of wisdom. The bewilderment concerning the conjunction with and the disjunction from suchness. Furthermore, in this perfection of wisdom, suchness is contained, the reality limit, the dharma element. In that sense, 1. Speaks of the perfection of wisdom. Furthermore, perfect wisdom is not conjoined with any dharma, nor disjoined from it. It is not definable nor undefinable, not resisting nor non-resisting. And why? Because this perfection of wisdom is immaterial, undefinable, non-resisting, with one mark only, i.e., no mark. The bewilderment concerning the absence of a state of sameness. Moreover, this perfection of wisdom is the practice of all dharmas. It bestows an uninterrupted flow of flashes of insight and illuminations. It cannot be overpowered by Mara or the deities of his host, or by the persons who belong to the vehicle of the disciples and Pratyeka Buddhas. Nor can this perfection of wisdom of the bodhisattva, the great being, be taken away by any heretics or bad spiritual friends. And why? Because all these cannot be apprehended in this perfection of wisdom, on account of the emptiness of own marks. It is thus, Subhuti, that the bodhisattva, the great being, should course in this perfection of wisdom. The bewilderment concerning the truths of ill. Moreover, Subhuti, the bodhisattva, the great being, who courses in the meaning of this deep perfection of wisdom, should course in the meaning of impermanence, ill and not self. In the meaning of the cognition of ill, of origination, of stopping, of the path. In the cognition of extinction, non-production, the dharma, the subsequent dharma, ultimate truth too. In the meaning of the cognition of what is just so. It is thus that the bodhisattva should course in the meaning of perfect wisdom. The bewilderment concerning the essential nature of the defilements. Subhuti. If in this deep perfection of wisdom no meaning and no non-meaning is apprehended, how should the bodhisattva, the great being, course in the meaning of the perfection of wisdom? The Lord. Here the bodhisattva, the great being, who courses in the deep meaning of perfect wisdom, should course as follow. He should not course in greed as useful or harmful to me, and so with hate, delusion, wrong views too. All that pertains to false views. And why? Because the suchness of greed, hate, and delusion, too. The various false views does not bring about the welfare or misfortune of anything. He should not course in form is useful or harmful to me, and so with everything up to enlightenment. And why? Because the Tathagata, when he has known full enlightenment, has not apprehended any dharma which would do him good or harm. Whether Tathagatas are produced or not produced, firmly established is just this dharmahood of dharmas, the established nature of dharmas, the element of dharma, and these do not do any good or harm. It is thus that the bodhisattva, the great being, should, having relinquished all thought of good and evil, course in the perfection of wisdom. Subhuti. For what reason does the perfection of wisdom know good and no harm? The Lord. Because the perfection of wisdom has no effect on the conditioned and unconditioned dharmas, for that reason it does no good or harm to anything. Subhuti. Does, then, the unconditioned not benefit all holy men, the Buddhas and their disciples? The Lord. The unconditioned benefits all holy men, the Buddhas and their disciples. But it has not been set up so as to benefit or not benefit anything. Just as the suchness of space has not been set up to benefit or not benefit anything, just so likewise the perfection of wisdom of the bodhisattva, the great being. Subhuti. Does, then, the bodhisattva, the great being, having trained in the unconditioned perfection of wisdom, not reach the knowledge of all modes? The Lord. He does, but not by way of duality. The bewilderment concerning the non-existence of duality. Subhuti. Does then again a non-dual dharma reach a non-dual dharma? The Lord. No. Subhuti. Subhuti. Does, then, a dual dharma reach a dual dharma? The Lord. No. Subhuti. Subhuti. Does then a dual dharma reach a non-dual dharma? The Lord. No. Subhuti. Subhuti. Does then a non-dual dharma reach a dual dharma? The Lord. No. Subhuti. Subhuti. How then is it just now attained? The Lord, when neither a dual dharma nor a non-dual dharma is apprehended. In this way the knowledge of all modes is attained by way of taking nothing at all as a basis. End chapter 63.